All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are going to be looking at just kind of a little overview of Genesis chapter 7 and 8. I pulled out a couple things I wanted to kind of just go over. We'll go through that, and we'll just go from there. We're not going to get too in depth. We got some extracurriculars we're going to get into. We will start by let's just start by looking at Genesis chapter 7. Hold on. Wait a second. Check that. Just read the whole chapter.
Yeah. So no. And Yah said to Noah, come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Of all the clean beasts, take with you 7 pairs, a male and his female. And of the beasts that are unclean, 2, a male and his female. And of all the birds of the heavens, 7 pairs, male and females, to keep offspring alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days, I am sending rain on the earth, 40 days and 40 nights, and shall wipe from the face of the earth all that stand that I created. And Noah did according to all that Yah commanded him. Now, Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. Wow. And Noah and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of the clean beasts and of the beasts of that are unclean, of the birds and of all that creep on the earth, 2 by 2 they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to be after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd new moon, the 17th day of the moon, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the heavens were opened. And the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that day, Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them, went into the ark. They and every life form after its kind, and every beast after its kind, and every creeping creature that crept on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2, of all flesh in which the breath of life. And those going in, male and female, of all flesh, went in as Elohim had commanded him. And Yah shed him in, and the flood was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, of course. And the waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. And the waters were mighty and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the water. And the waters were exceedingly mighty on the earth, and all the high mountains under all the heavens were covered. The waters became mighty, 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died, the creeping creatures on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every swarming creature that swarms on the earth, and all mankind, all in whose nostrils was the breath of the ruach of life. All that was on the dry land died. So he wiped off all the stand, and were on the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creatures and birds of the heavens, and they were wiped off from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. And the waters were mighty on the earth 150 days. Woo.
Okay, very good. So I want to go back over here and look at a couple things here. Verse 1, chapter 7. where it says, and Yahweh said to Noah, come into the ark, you and all your household, because this is what I'm gonna look at here, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. So we see, if we remember from chapter 6, verse 9, what's that say about Noah there? Chapter 6, verse 9.
All right. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with Elohim.
Okay, good. So we see it tells us again over here in chapter 7 about the state of Noah, that he was righteous in the sight. It says over here that he was seen to be by the Almighty as righteous. Righteous in the Hebrew, tzaddik. Tzaddik, which is just or lawful or straight. Let's see here. When we look at the word tzaddik in the Hebrew, it's a tzadi, a dalet, and a kuf. A tzadi, a dalet, and a kuf. So, wish I had my screen right now. We can show you the pictures. Because the pictographs, when we look at the pictographs, the tzadi is a picture of it's a picture that represents a man on his side. A man on his side, that's laying on his side. So on his side, he's able to, like when you think about somebody who's crouching down, like hunting something, right? So he's laying down and he has his prey in his sight, the tzadi. So the tzadi gives you the idea of a man being on his side, but since he's hunting and he's checking out his prey, it also has the idea of a path and a destination, because he sees where he wants to get to, which would be the destination or his prey that he's crouched down, aiming at with his instrument of whatever, probably his bow or something, right? Mm-hmm. So the destination is there and the path is there, right? So you have the path and the destination in that letter, that word picture of the tzadi. The dalet is a tent door flap, right? So the door flap, it has the idea of going in and out, movement, everything that it takes to get from the in and the out. And then the kuf is the sun at its horizon. So if you think about the sun at the horizon is flat, and then you see the sun as it's going down under the horizon. So the picture the thing that it brings about is the idea of this concentration, because that light is being concentrated at that point as the sun is going down, right? So you have all these things together. You have this one who's on this path that leads through this door of this concentration of light, right? When we think about light and the right, these things kind of have the same idea, right? So the tzaddik is that one who's on that path of moving towards the concentration of light. He's right, and he's moving in a straight line. We think about righteous is straight. That word tzaddik gives you the idea of something that's straight. When we think about wickedness, iniquity, right? That's something that's twisted. That's something that's crooked. It wavers. It goes back and forth. It teeter-totters. It's wishy-washy, right? So at the time over there, you saw that the whole earth, it says Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Here, read that real quick. Read Genesis chapter 6, verse 5.
Okay. And y'all saw that the wicked of man was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Okay, so the state of man at that time, it says every inclination, everything that they got ready to think about doing was about wickedness. That word inclination means a form or a frame or a thing that's framed. So it's a work. So everything that they thought about doing was just wicked, right? There was no redeeming quality in anything that they could sit up there and think about doing. I mean, we think about this time that we're in, right? It seemed like if you look hard enough, sometimes you don't got to look hard. You look hard enough, it's wickedness behind everything. It's just all planned out. It's formed, right? Every inclination of thoughts of his heart was only evil. Everything that he formed to do was wicked, right? And because of that, Most High's wiping everything out. So this is the scene, right? This is the stage, that Noah's in, just surrounded by just utter wickedness, right? But the difference was that Noah was able to, regardless of the fact of all of these forces around, these things that were formed for wickedness, he was able to maintain straightness. And we know that because it says that he was seen as righteous by the Most High. Right. So I wanted to think about this idea of maintaining straightness and being unwavering. Look at Jeremiah 17, 7 and 10. Pull that up. Jeremiah 17, 7 through 10.
17, sorry?
17, Yirmiyahu 17, verse 7 through 10. Read that.
Hallelujah. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yah and whose trust is Yah. For he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out his roots by the river, and does not see when heats come. And his leaf shall be green. And in the year of drought he is not anxious, nor does he cease from yielding fruit. The heart is crooked above all, and desperately sick. Who shall know it? I, Yah, search the heart. I try the kidneys, and give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his deeds.
Okay, very good. So over here it says, blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh. Right? So that word trust is batak, which means to run with haste for refuge. I know where the refuge is, and I'm not taking my time to get there. I'm running there. It uses this word that's kind of this antiquitous word. So I translated it. High. It actually says high for refuge. We don't speak like that right now.
Okay.
But the idea of this word patak is to run with haste for refuge, right? It's translated here as trust. So we're speaking of the idea of if you're running with haste, you know where you're going, right? And you have that direction in mind, and you're trying to get there as fast as possible, right? Unwavering, right? Laser focus. right? That's how we have to be in the Almighty, right? Because as soon as you sit up here and looking at these other things that's going on, now you moving, right? Maybe you done got this whole thing. I got this line planned out. I know if I go this way, I'm good. But soon as I gotta sit up here and go some other way, now my little GPS got to think and all this, right? Right. It's time for me to slip up and fall. But when we think about this idea of trusting, this word here, batak, is about confidence and surety, right? Right. If there's some doubt in your mind as to whether or not the Most High is with you as you're going on this journey, then that's not this right here. That's not what this is talking about. Because this is talking about here confidence and surety, right? In the Most High, right? What that says, for he shall be like a tree that's planted in the waters. It's unmovable, right? When you sit up there and look at, we just had all these tornadoes and things go on around, right? Be some pretty strong tornadoes. And if they're real strong, they might mess around and uproot a tree. But most of the time, they'll break that thing. That thing, most of the time, don't come out of the roots. That thing is grounded, right? So when you think about this idea of this tree that's planted by waters, it got everything that is needed. That thing is probably strong, right? But it's talking about you as a result of trusting in the Almighty, right? Right. But I'm saying all that just to say that's what the Most High saw in Noah, right? Because he saw him as straight or righteous, right? Or just. He saw him in his actions and deeds as being straight, not wavering from all of the outside influences that were obviously going on all over the place. And this is something that's important for us because the times that we're living in mirror the times of Noah. It's just like that. And there's so many obstacles. There's so many things that want to entice us and pull us over to the left, right? But we have to be straight, right? Because that's righteous, right? Righteousness is straightness, right? We have to have that laser focus. Light is going all the way wherever it's going in a particular direction. It's not like doing all of this, right? Proverbs 5:3-6.
Say hallelujah when you got it. Right. You got it, sis? No film.
Proverbs 5:3-6. 3-6. We're going to see the flip side over here.
Other side of the coin. Ready?
Go ahead.
Sure. For the lips of strange women. For the lips of strange women drip honey. And her mouth is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Wow. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lay hold of Sheol, grave. She does not consider the path of life. Her ways are unstable. You do not know it.
Okay, very good. So we see over here warning against these strange women who got these shiny, sweet-looking lips, right? It's just honey just dripping off them lips.
Honey.
Right?
Smooth words.
Them joints are smooth. Man, them things is smooth as oil. Them lips. Boy, they got that shiny little what's that little stuff, that little glossy stuff? Okay, so but in the end it says she is bitter as wormwood. Right, that wormwood. You think about that wormwood, you think about that those bitter waters that rotted out the thigh of the woman, right? Whenever she was guilty of going against her husband, right? She drank them bitter waters, and her thighs rot, right? Her productive organs rot out, right? Death, right? That this strange woman is like that, sharp as a two-edged sword. We talking about a two-edged sword. They talk about the scriptures like that. Mm-hmm. It's like a two-edged sword that's able to divide the soul from the spirit. But the thing that this strange woman gonna bring you is doing that same thing that word gonna do to you, right? It's bringing death to your soul, right? Her feet go down to death. Her steps lay hold of Sheol. Her ways are unstable, right? She's wavery. She's wishy-washy. She's not straight, right? But so we see the other side where it's enticing. These ways of unrighteousness are enticing, right? But the end thereof is death, right? James chapter 1, verse 5 through 8. Go ahead.
If any of you lack wisdom, I love this, let him ask of Elohim, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it shall be given to him or her. But he should ask in belief, not doubting. Let me say that again. But he should ask in belief, not doubting. For he who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. For that man should not think that he shall receive whatever from the master. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. And let the lowly brother.
That's good right there.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so this is pretty interesting here. For that man should not think that the one who doubts, that man should not think that he shall receive whatever from the master. Mm-hmm. In other words, there ain't nothing that you gonna get from the master if you are doubtful. Yeah. There's nothing that he don't got nothing for you, right? That's what that say right there. But we talking about that crookedness, right? That wavering, that way that's not straight. If we straight, we see where we going there and we getting there. But if we wavering, we taking breaks, we having detours. Yeah, man. We not sure if we can even get over there or not. But if you're doubting, the master don't have nothing for you. That's what it say right there. Double-minded, unstable in all his ways. Noah wasn't that, right? He had to have been just seeing just his whole world just crumbling all around him, just wickedness just everywhere, right? But in spite of all of that, he was able to still maintain that righteousness. It says that he was seen by the Almighty as righteous. We must be that. We have to be that. We can't allow, there's so many influences in this world today. There's so many things that try to pull at us and pull us away and put in these seeds of doubt in our hearts. But we have to, in spite of all of those things, be able to remain laser focused and move forward towards the goal so that we can be like Noah and be considered by the Almighty as righteous. There. Okay, let us look down. I wanted to look at verse 12. Verse 12, it says that the rain fell upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 days and 40 nights. So we see this thing. Oh, my fault. Yeah. We looking at Genesis chapter 7. We went back. We went back.
Back to Genesis, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Genesis chapter 7, verse 12. The rain fell upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, right? So we see this thing that's going on with this 40 thing, right? 40 days, we see in scripture representative of cleansing and purifying and testing and trying.
Right.
We can see all of these things going on when we look at different instances where you have these 40s going on. Here with the flood, the earth is being purified. Right? It's judgment, but it's also purification, right? Because it's going to be something after, right? So the idea is cleansing and purifying with the flood. But we can look over Israel,
right?
Also had a 40. It was 40 years in the wilderness. Pull up Deuteronomy 8, 2 and 3.
I want to see something pertaining to that when you're done. 40 days. 2.
My fault. Deuteronomy 8, verse 2 and 3.
Oh, verse 2 and 3. I got you. Is y'all there? Deuteronomy 8, 2 and 3. All right. And you shall remember that Yahweh Elohim led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you, prove you, to know what is in your heart, whether you guard his commands or not. And he humbled you, and he let you suffer hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahweh.
Okay, very good. So this is 40 years, but remember the 40 years was a year for a day. It was 40 days. And they got a year for each day that they was over there spying out the land. And when they come back with that bad report. So the 40 years was this punishment, which really was purifying Israel.
Right.
It was getting rid of all of these doubters, right? All of these ones who wasn't able to be going straight.
Yeah.
What was you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I want to say something about the significance of 40 is amazing because, like we said, we was in the wilderness 40 days, 40 nights. The flood occurred. 40 years, right? But the flood occurred 40 days, 40 nights. Moses stayed in the house of Pharaoh 40 years. And there was only 3 characters in the Bible who fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. You know? And that was Moses, what was that, Elijah, and Yeshua. And they all fasted at the same spot, I believe, in Mount Sinai, or the other word is Horeb.
Horeb, yeah.
Horeb. You know, but even during those times, they was being purified. But the most significant that stuck with me was when Yeshua was there himself. Now, according to scripture, right directly after he was immersed by John the Baptist, he was taken to a high mountain. See, they don't specifically say it's Syria, but you can connect the dots and see that it was, because that's the resting place where he consulted with Moses, and Elijah went up there as well, and Yeshua was there. But it was going to purification. Notice that when he went up there, before he even made a miracle, before he even preached a word, He was being purified, even himself. You know, so that number 40 is very, very significant. That's all I want to say on that.
Yeah, we see, very good. We see over with Yeshua in Luke 4:1-2, where that's right when he goes and is led into the wilderness, and it says that he is tried for 40 days. He's led by the Spirit of the Almighty to be tested by Hasatan. 40 days. Moses in Exodus 34:28-29, whenever he got the commandments, they all heard the commandments being spoke to them. Then he went up into the mountains and stayed up there 40 days and 40 nights. He said, did not eat bread or drink water. For 40 days and 40 nights. So, you know, one of the times when Moses, I think he had a couple 40 days up there, but one of the times when he came back is whenever it, let's see, where he,
it was twice,
where he came back and his face was all shiny and they didn't want to look at him no more. Right. So you could look at that, and I gotta find that.
And how his face was shining and it went away. He hid his face, right?
2 tables. Oh, that is 34. That's Exodus 34:28-29. When he came back, his face shone. Right. So you can look at that kind of as a purification of Moses. Right. Where Moses was up there and just is kind of just being transformed by the presence of the Almighty, being in his presence, right? But it's going on during that 40-day period. Right. So we see examples of this 40 days being this purification thing, this trying thing with Yeshua. It's a trying thing with Israel, and we see that, you know, we have this kind of significance that's attached to that number 40, you know, throughout the scriptures. Okay, all right, moving on. I won't go too much into let's see. 17, read verse back to Genesis 7, read verse 17.
Genesis 7.
Anybody got anything to say about 40 days and 40 nights?
Genesis 7:17.
Yeah. So that's like a significant for us to even probably be doing something that has to do with that too, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily I'm saying we should fast for 40 days and 40 nights, but I'm just saying like really, like if it was done in their time. Yeah. Or is that just like a quick thing?
Well, it wasn't something that everybody was doing. You got what the what's represented in that time. We think about the 40 years, for instance, right? Where they joined with the Most High at the mountain, and then from there over and going into the lands, that there's a 40-year period of that testing and trying. So that time that you choose to be attached to the Almighty, from the time that you going over to the promise, all of that time in between, you know, that's your 40 years right there.
Right.
That's your tests and your trials. Right. That's those times when you're replicating Israel in the wilderness, and you're allowing the Most High be your sustenance to get you through. Right. Right. So we can definitely see a correlation between Israel and Israel's 40 days. I mean, 40 days is a long time without food or water.
Oh, man. I had trouble with a week.
I can do a day, no problem. But 40 days, you know, that's some serious. You I would say you have to work your way up to something like that.
As far as the medical industry is concerned, after 72 hours without water, your organs begin to shut down.
Yeah, you
so
about to
you
just
are truly believing in the Father to sustain you.
Right.
Because without that belief system, your bodily functions begin to break down.
Right.
After 72 hours, or 72 days, well, 3 days.
Yeah.
Without
That's,
any water.
That's why only three people did that.
Yeah, you don't. It's not like something that everybody was just doing. You see significant characters. One of them being Yeshua, right?
And they had high esteem
Moses.
positions.
I mean, it seems to me.
But you know what I find real interesting, because being that those was the only three. Check this out, Chris. They was the only three that did that 40-day fast, right? And in the Mount of Transfiguration, who do you see? Moses, Yeshua, and Elijah. Those same three. You know, I wonder what they was talking about up there on that mountain, man, because they all went up there. Maybe they all heard the same thing. You know, because that's what.
Okay, so when we look at what took place with the flood, the water killed all the people, right? But then it also saved the people at the same time, right? They was in the ark, and they was floating on the water while all the stuff that was under them was all dying, right? So the water both kills and saves. We see with the flood, it kills and it saves. Read 1 Peter 3:18-20.
Because even Messiah, once suffered for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to Elohim, having been put to death indeed in flesh, but made alive in spirit, in which also he went and proclaimed unto the spirits in prison, who were disobedient at one time, when the patience of Elohim waited in the days of Noah. Message. While the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is, 8 beings, were saved through water.
Okay, very good. So over there in Peter, it says that the 8 people, Noah and his family, was all saved. King James says actually by the water. Saved by the water. But that same thing that they was being saved through was killing everybody else. I think about the fact that I talk about this at Yom Teruah, where when we think about the message of Messiah's return, one message is good if you are on his side, right? But if you ain't on his side, that same message is bad for you, right? One message, 2 different results. Yeshua actually is a living water. Same thing. He kills and he saves, right? Same, one water, one word, one message, 2 results, right? Depending on what side you're on, right? Go ahead.
It's a very interesting thought that said that they were saved, 8 souls were saved by water. It's like you said, like if you're on the right side, you know what I mean, that is a good thing.
Yeah.
But when you're on the wrong side, you know, you're looking at it as an evil thing. You know, and today you have a lot of people who are losing their life, right? You got mothers crying, and you have people who are doing all these wicked things, and when they die, everybody's looking up into heaven like, why? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we do need to be saved. And, you know what I mean? Like, all of this wickedness that's going out here, guns, shots, you know what I mean? I'm walking my dog 4 o'clock in the morning. Wow. I'm like, so it's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, when he comes back, righteous will be saved by death of the wicked. So, just like you said, depending on which side you're on, it's gonna look good to some, real bad to others. Well, to most.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially those who know.
So we see, even from all the way back from Noah's time, where it's the same thing could be said about the Exodus from Egypt. Same thing could be said. This was one message, right? But that message was good to one group of people, but that same message was bad to another group of people, right? Okay.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Some people read the Bible and they be like, man, this God is evil. He's just killing people. He's just going through, telling people to murder all of these people. So they're looking at, our Father as if our Father is wicked. They're not seeing the wickedness of the world,
right,
and the wickedness that was committed. Why these people were cut off? They were given time and space. And so people look at this and like, man,
I watched a video on Facebook earlier this week where this pastor, I was like in a movie or something like that. In the corner, and was telling them, like, you gotta get right with the Elohim and follow his laws and commandments, and you can't be out here doing the things that people were doing. But one lady was like, well, I don't think, like, he was talking about like the idols, and idols all right. And the lady was like, well, I don't think I like a God. I can't believe in a God who is going to kill my little 12-year-old friend in India because she's worshiping what she believes is her God over there, and it's not. She doesn't know about him. And like he was saying, well, if you really cared, you would make sure that your friend knew, instead of being mad at him for punishing her for not following him and following after another God.
Yeah.
Like we always want to make it his fault because he's destroying people for not worshiping him. Instead of saying, hey, you need to come and worship him.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to worry about him destroying. And we always look at the negative instead of doing what we need to do to get people in line.
If we look back at Noah, there was a shift where, the Noah knew how to distinguish between clean and unclean animals. So he knew that from something. He knew that because his father must have told him. And his father before him told him. They knew about clean and unclean. There was a law that they had that was passed down. But there was a shift at some point where people stopped following those ways, and then now you got all of this wickedness all over the place. So it's not as you can go after I say, it's not as if Noah knew and then nobody else know. They went away from the ways and went into wickedness. Go ahead.
Which is crazy because like growing up in Christianity, type the story of Noah, you're type of the animals went 2 by 2 with ever to break that
Yeah.
of the clean and unclean.
Right.
You know what I mean? So looking at it now, how people are like, oh, well, those dietary laws are done away with. It's like, well, no, it's not that they were done away with. You just omitted that in your story. Like if you actually read it for yourself, then you get into the questions like, well, why did he have clean and unclean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there has to be a reason why there was clean and unclean. And then once you get into the dietary laws, you're like, oh, like you said, you know what I mean? Somebody had to tell him the difference for him to be able to make that distinction of, okay, I need 7 clean and only 2 unclean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but why? You know what I mean? If you just continue with what you were taught, it makes sense why a lot of them fuck the system when we're trying to tell them about the dietary laws, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can't. The Most High is righteous and He is just. What we do have to remember, I would say, is that He has put a responsibility on those who walk in His ways to propagate His truth. He works through His people. That's how He works, right? So it's necessary for us to be, obedient in that and be, spreading His truth. So it can't be said that, I never knew. Nobody never told me. I mean, just think about the people that you know, right? There are people walking around that you know that can say, "Wait a second, why you ain't never told me about this?" Well, I can't look over this way because he probably be telling everybody.
I'm not looking over there because they might be telling everybody.
But we even if you just think about the people who you are, who's in your circles and extended circles, people who you touch, who you contact, there shouldn't be people in those extensions that could make that claim about you, that say, "Oh, wait a second, you knew about all of this and you ain't never talked to me about it. You ain't never. How am I supposed to know?" Like, yeah.
That's why I tell people, man, the truth, like, you can't alienate yourself from it.
Right, you can't.
Because how are they going to see your light shining if they don't see you?
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to know, what they're supposed to be doing if you're not telling them? If I show you and I tell you and you reject it, that's
one thing.
But at least you've seen and you heard and you know why I'm no longer doing the things you're doing. There's no excuse at that point now. It's what to do. But you got a lot of people who don't want to hear or know because they know now that I know I'm accountable.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want that accountability, but it's like that's not your problem.
Right.
And your goal is to continue doing what you're supposed to be doing and shining that light, so that no one can say, like you said, of you, you never told me. You know what I mean? That's not something you want on your jacket.
Yeah, exactly. And also maintaining that straightness and not easing up when you be around some of these other people, right? So you might not even have to always have a conversation all the time. You probably should. There got to be a conversation at some point. But your actions got to be straight, right? Where it's not like things aren't in question. As to say, oh wait, maybe he is just like me, right? Because again, we think about being that tzaddik, that that one that's righteous, that's straight, you know, you always have to be that. And that's what Noah was, right? Okay, so what we're going to do now is, let me see here. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or comments about any of this stuff here?
I wanted to say that, just line that last time, still in the same vein, like being around wickedness and not letting the darkness overtake you.
Yes.
Letting your light chase the dark.
Yeah.
So being around darkness is hard.
Yeah.
You have to be around it.
Yeah.
And working.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking it really is. If we think about it in terms of light and darkness, unless you're talking about a black hole, light always overtakes the darkness. It always overtakes the darkness, light. But for whatever reason, when we have this thing going on, like in real time, the reverse is true, right? That negative influence is always the greatest influence.
I think it's like you can actually, hide your light. When that darkness come around, start tickling your ears.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Turning it down.
Looking good to your eyes, you know what I mean? You get the light switch, like
that dimmer switch. Yeah, just push it down a little bit.
Yeah, so I let a guy pull me off. I let a guy on my job, I turned my light out. About the meeting right where it was at.
Yeah.
I even cursed. And I can't remember how long I cursed. You know what I mean? Like, it's been like probably 10, 15 years. Maybe even longer than that. And, but he vexed me so much.
Yeah.
And I basically was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just so important to just be able to, stay straight, like you said. Not allow the evil around you.
Yeah.
Who are you in?
And so just closing, we're gonna break down. Just thinking about the fact that Noah, in this state of just utter wickedness all around him, was able to maintain straightness. But now, here with Messiah and the Ruach that is extended to his people, we have access to something that Noah didn't, where he was able to just be that. Where we have strengthened by the Ruach HaKodesh, gives us the ability to be able to be that and more. If we're able to allow the Spirit to actually rule and reign in our situations, right? Many times we allow our flesh to rise up and be that dominating force inside of us when the Creator actually comes and dwells inside of us, where we actually, should, best case scenario, be walking around victorious in all these areas, unwavering, right? So just think about the fact that when we look back and see that Noah was able to be that righteous one and walk in righteousness in whatever utter wickedness looked like in that time, and still not be influenced by it. We have to be able to do that. Now, how much more so should we be able to do that now with what Messiah has done for us, with the Spirit inside of us today in 2019? Okay. All right. That being said, we are going to transition over into something else from here, but we are going to. We didn't get into 8, but I'll probably just put that on the next one. Okay. So for now, shalom.
Shalom.